You know the feeling. You open your laptop, ready to conquer the day, but your brain just fogs over. That to-do list isn't just a list. It's a graveyard of half-finished projects. Each one is a nagging reminder of what you haven't done. A half-written email, a report that's 90% complete. That home improvement project you started with so much excitement, now just gathering dust. Each one of these is an open tab in your mental browser, and together they create this constant low-grade hum of anxiety that follows you everywhere. You lie awake at night, and your mind circles back to that one thing you just can't seem to finish. Look, you're not lazy, and you're not unmotivated. You're just stuck. And this feeling? It isn't a personal failure. It's a deeply wired psychological phenomenon. It actually has a name, and understanding it is the first step to breaking free. So in this video, I'm not just going to give you the psychological reason this happens. I'm going to give you a practical escape route, a few simple, brain-based techniques to finally start clearing your plate and quiet that noise for good. Let go of unfinished tasks is a powerful psychological quirk known as the Zeigarnik effect. It was first observed back in the 1920s by a Russian psychologist named Bluma Zeigarnik. The waiters had a flawless memory for ridiculously complex, unpaid orders. But the moment the bill was paid, that perfect recall vanished. The task was complete, and their brain just let it go. Zeigarnik took this idea back to her lab and discovered something profound about all of us. Our brains are hardwired to remember incomplete or interrupted tasks way better than completed ones. When you start a task, your brain opens a file and creates what psychologists call cognitive tension. This tension keeps the unfinished task at the front of your mind, making it feel urgent and intrusive. It's your brain's built-in reminder system, nudging you. Hey, we're not done here. This system is an evolutionary feature, not a bug. In our past, an unfinished task could mean danger, a shelter half built, a food source not secured. But in today's world of endless to-do lists, this feature has backfired. Each half-finished project, each unanswered email, becomes an open loop in your mind. And these open loops don't just sit there quietly. They actively consume your cognitive resources, draining your focus even when you're trying to do something else. This is why you feel that mental fog. Your brain's working memory is overloaded by the sheer weight of everything you've started but haven't finished. You're not just procrastinating. You're fighting a powerful, primitive part of your own psychology. So, if we're all wired with this mental itch for completion, how do we finally get some relief? The answer isn't about finding superhuman willpower. It's about working with your brain's wiring, not against it. You see, you don't actually have to finish a task to quiet the noise. You just have to convince your brain you have a plan. Here are 4 brain-based strategies to break the cycle and get things done. The biggest hurdle to finishing a task is almost always just starting it. The bigger a project seems, the more our brain freaks out, triggering avoidance and procrastination. The fix? Shrink the first step until it's so small, it's basically impossible not to do it. This is the 2-minute rule. Instead of a huge task like clean the garage, your first step is put on work shoes and walk to the garage. Instead of write the report, it's open a new document and write a title. That's it. Any task that takes less than 2 minutes, do it immediately. This works because it bypasses your brain's fear response. A 2-minute task is too small to be intimidating, but the effect is huge. By taking that tiny first action, you signal to your brain that the task is begun. You've now activated the Zeigarnik effect in your favor. That mental tension now creates a gentle pull to continue rather than a paralyzing push to avoid. You've created momentum, and momentum is the ultimate antidote to paralysis. One of the big reasons we get stuck is we try to tackle our most hated tasks in one giant soul-crushing effort. This just drains our energy and makes every distraction look like a welcome escape. The Pomodoro technique is a brilliant way to manage your energy and use the Zeigarnik effect to your advantage. Here's how it works. Set a timer for 25 minutes and commit to a single unfinished task. No multitasking. No quick email checks. Just 25 minutes of focus. When the timer dings, you take a 5-minute break. The magic here: first, 25 minutes feels manageable, which lowers the urge to procrastinate. Second, that forced break is a strategic interruption. Because you stop mid-task, the Zeigarnik effect kicks in during your break, keeping the task buzzing in your subconscious without causing stress. Your brain stays engaged, which makes it way easier to jump back in for the next 25-minute sprint. You turn a marathon into a series of easy wins. If you're finding these tips helpful, take a second to subscribe. We post new videos every week with practical advice to help you master your focus and get more done. Often, a task stays unfinished, not because it's hard, but because our standards are just impossibly high. Perfectionism is paralysis in disguise. It makes us so afraid of not doing it flawlessly that we either never start or get stuck tweaking it forever. The solution is to consciously lower the bar and embrace a good enough mindset. Give yourself permission to do a B- job on the first pass. Your only goal is to get a complete version out of your head and into the world. Write the messy first draft. Build the wobbly prototype. Have the awkward conversation. By focusing on completion over perfection, you close the open loop in your brain. This releases the cognitive tension and frees up that mental energy. You can always come back and improve it later, but the psychological weight of the unfinished task is gone. Remember, a finished project with a few flaws is infinitely better than a perfect project that exists only in your head. Your brain craves closure. Without it, it keeps running background processes on all your unfinished business, which is why you feel so drained and can't switch off. You can hack this system by creating a simple closure ritual at the end of your day. This is all about getting the load out of your head and onto paper, so your brain gets permission to rest. Take 5 minutes and do a brain dump. Write down every single unfinished task that's taking up space in your head. But here's the critical part. For each one, write down the very next concrete action you will take to move it forward. Research, including studies from Florida State University, has shown that just making a specific plan to complete a task can dramatically reduce. Your brain treats a concrete plan as a promise of completion, which allows it to finally release that tension. So instead of writing finished presentation, you write, tomorrow at 9 a.m., I will find 3 stats for the intro. This simple act tells your brain, this is handled. You can let go for now. This ritual gives you the psychological closure you need to truly disconnect, rest, and come back with a clear mind. These techniques aren't about magically becoming a new person. They're small, practical adjustments that work with your brain's natural wiring to help you break free from the paralysis of unfinished work. It's about taking back control, one small, completed step at a time. That stuck feeling isn't a life sentence. It is just the predictable result of your brain's ancient wiring clashing with the modern world's endless demands. The mental fog you feel is the weight of every open loop, every half-finished project, every nagging decision. But now you have the escape route. You know the why, the Zeigarnik effect, and your brain's demand for closure. And you have the how, the 2-minute kickstart, the Pomodoro power-up, the done is better than perfect reframe, and the closure ritual. You have the tools to finally quiet the noise and clear your plate. So, I have a question for you. Look at your to-do list. Let me know in the comments. Which unfinished task are you going to tackle first with one of these techniques? By writing it down, you're already taking that first step. Thanks for watching.